Yeah. Let's see here. And we are live. Hello, everybody. It's Jake Wolfe once again coming to you live on Friday. I've got a very special guest here today. A good friend of mine, Mr. Todd Ashton. Some of you guys have saw inside of the bio that Todd has got a pretty heavy background in real estate investment, things along those lines. So I've known Todd for, oh my goodness, Todd, you and I were kind of playing around a little bit even before the 2008 market.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, so Nouveau Riche, I think we did that back in 2006.
Yeah.
And you were rolling with me when I started my company in Utah before the crash, and I was flying high. You know, I thought I was like the Trump of Utah. I had a $32 million company with a couple of partners. You were rolling with me back then.
Yeah. So let me tell you how I met Todd Ashton. Right. So I don't know if you guys have remembered. It's not around anymore. It's Todd as far as Nouveau Riche, but it used to be a real estate investment college, and these guys were actually accredited. And so I was doing things professionally in different businesses, and then from a real estate investment standpoint, you know, I'm just like some of you could put me into a multiple property owner type category for that friend by owner type group, right? So anyways, I get to Nouveau Riche, and I was with some other companies at the time, kind of hanging out. And then I had the opportunity to go ahead and meet Todd, and he was doing this creative acquisitions class. And for me, being a creative kind of a guy, I thought to myself, well, man, I'm going to attend this class. And it was amazing to me. I mean, Todd is a veteran as well. So him and I hit it off on that level. He's done a lot of stuff. He was in intelligence. This gentleman speaks Farsi fluently. He's worked a lot of the intelligence that came from back in the day with General Norman Schwarzkopf, and they're in the Desert Storm time frame. And so here I am listening to a very creative genius of a man in business. In addition, I know he's a kind of a creative genius because he has to be creative if he worked with the General Schwarzkopf's team as far as things, right? But I sat through all of Todd's classes and had the opportunity to really see what he was putting out there. And you know what? He's a lot like me when he talks about taking action, charge hard forward, be creative. There's different ways that we can actually identify properties, and then there's different systems that we can go ahead and use to go ahead and make ourselves unique and better and things like that. But not too long after, I found myself being associated with Todd, and then a tremendous amount of real estate investment knowledge and resources and cool things. So I wanted to bring my friend Todd in here for a couple reasons. We're just, every time I get on the phone with Todd, him and I have a wonderful discussion about life and liberty. And, you know, Todd's a personal friend of mine now, and has gone through a lot in his life, professionally, privately. And, you know, as far as the friends that I have, Todd's one of those guys that if he needs me, he can call me at 11 o'clock at night. But anyways, we're going to drop some strong knowledge bombs on everybody here today. Todd is still getting after it. He runs a company right now called Tax Lien Alliance. And what he is he's a personal real estate investment coach for, oh my gosh, a tremendous amount of people. I think there's thousands of folks that have been or are in kind of his sphere of influence. But Todd actually has been, I would consider him the coach's coach. So he's built a lot of literature on how to properly go ahead and invest in different things, right? But one he specializes in is like tax liens and deeds, foreclosable tax liens. I guess there's a lot of hurdles that people have to go ahead and jump through to kind of get through the legalese of, you know, these things. And Todd knew that from the beginning, started really writing down all of the how to do this thing properly and how to uncover these different things. But now he's a personal coach for people who actually want to get into the tax lien side, increase their net worth, increase their portfolio. But the cool thing about Todd, you know, he's a lot like me, right? So he says, you know what, I'm going to run a program and I'm going to be people's coach for life. So if they want to get in on this, obviously there's a certain way they can follow my educational protocols. I can point them onto the right directions. And while they're actually taking the actionable steps forward, then call me. I'm a resource for them. So I'm in your corner.
Right.
And so Todd's really pushing these people across the line. So give us some, Todd, before we move forward into the tax side of the house, because we've got a good, strong hour here. What I want to do is, once you bring everybody up to speed, tell us a little bit about your journey to get to where you're at right now.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks for that amazing introduction. You know, and I'm humbled and honored for the opportunity to spend this type of time with you in this type of format and forum. You know, my whole thing is at my core, just like you, I want to be, let me make sure my phone's not going to be interrupted. I want to be of service to people. I don't want them to just know what I do or be involved with me. If they get involved with me on any level, it's because we have that same type of rapport and trust that you and I have built over the years. But more importantly, I want to be of service to them. I think you know this, the dirty little secret in the seminar business, and I don't do seminars. I don't like seminars where people rush to the back of the room and get all hyped and motivated and throw down, you know, that kind of stuff. I don't like that, because it's the dirty little secret is like 95% of the people that do that fail. I mean, maybe out of 100 people, 5 people might get it right and take all that information and cobble it together and actually do something that's going to enhance their life. Well, what I did when I stepped away from, I used to work for, well, like you said, Nouveau Riche, and I was the VP of Investor Development for Nouveau Riche in the heyday. Went down to Scottsdale, Arizona. Before that, I was working for a company out of Utah when things were just blowing up. It was just, you know, 2006 was off the charts, and a company called REI, Real Estate Investors. But anyway, I was coaching, talking about coaching the coaches. I was coaching 40 coaches that were coaching students nationwide. So I was coaching the coaches. The coaches would come to me and say, I got this question, I got this problem, you know, how do I answer it? And one thing, you know me, I'm not a BSer. I'm very transparent. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I do what I say what I do. And so if people came with me for a question and asked a question, if I didn't know it, I would tell them up front, hey, this is important to you. I know I can tell it's important to you. Let me go get the answer. But I wouldn't just BS them. So over time, that's where I've developed that rapport. I've done, you know, when you get the same questions over and over for the past 20-something years, you kind of get to know your subject matter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's really, really easy. I had some guys. It was funny. I'll tell you a quick story. When we were in Nouveau Riche days, I had these guys run up to me at the seminar, and they said, hey, we were on this national call you were doing with thousands of people coming in on this national call, and everyone's asking you questions like rapid fire. And we decided we were going to stump the coach. So they started posing questions that were going to stump the coach. And they said, dude, no matter what we asked us, you had the answer. And we fact checked you and you knew your stuff. And I was like, well, yeah, but that sounds amazing. But when you get the same answers or the same questions over and over and over for so many years, you kind of get to know the answers. And so, you know, I hope that answers it. But yeah, I've had the background. I started back when I was a young buck, when I was in my 20s, mid-20s. I started out on the front end just selling for people like Robert Kiyosaki, for what was his name? No Money Down, Robert Allen.
Yeah,
you know,
Russ
I was on these boiler room floors where I was selling to people. Back then, the internet wasn't a big deal. I mean, it was so big; it was in its infancy. But people didn't have websites. They didn't check reputation. They didn't check the BBB. They didn't check any of that stuff. It was the Wild West of a sales point, and that was very lucrative. But I didn't want to. Ultimately, I didn't want to sell. I was like, wait a minute. There's people that are teaching this and doing this. I don't want to sell it, and just because I'm representing somebody, I want to know this. I want to do it and know it, and through that, then I want to affect people's lives through that. So that's where all that kind of background, I guess, has come.
I remember all of the damn infomercials back in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Right. I fed into those too. That's why I got so excited.
Yeah.
I left with 2001 when they hit the towers in New York. I was working for Computer Associates, and I was the top salesman in the West. I had just gotten an award for salesman of the quarter, and I beat out guys in much bigger markets. I'm a little market here in Salt Lake. I was selling multi-million-dollar solutions to like 2 customers, Wells Fargo and Zions Bank, and but I was beating the pants off. I was running circles around guys in like Arizona and California and Denver, in Colorado, because at the time I was selling what was called portal technology, but it's stuff now that there's whole companies that do this as a business, as a service, online software as a service, SAS. But at the time, Computer Associates was just getting into that type of portal technology. It would take all that information from all the disparate databases and centralize it on their desktop for CEOs. These were multi-million-dollar solutions, but we were selling the portals for like $15,000-$20,000 a pop. So I just went on a tear and sold, hundreds of these portals to companies when people were trying to do one deal that would make their year and do a multi-million-dollar deal. I was selling hundreds of deals doing these little portal technology deals. So anyway, I'm familiar with the technical side of things, but I'm very familiar with the nuts and bolts of real estate and all the different ways you can make money in it. When everything collapsed in 2008, my company went down, and like everybody, I mean, we had $32 million in assets, mostly in Utah. We started to buy properties in Florida and other places that you were involved at that time. You had some ideas and things that I was looking for as far as properties, but what happened is we were highly leveraged. We were using the lending practices at the time and the banks to go out and have straw buyers. That we could do that at the time, and we were buying properties hand over fist, and we were repackaging them and leasing them, a sandwich lease, to people that had bad credit. So we were helping them improve their credit, get into a home. They'd give us a non-refundable down, sometimes 30, 40, 50,000 to get into a house because they had money but they didn't have credit. And so they'd get into these homes, and then we would own them, these $250,000 plus homes, and we would rent them for a pretty penny. But then, because we had to service the debt, plus we would make $100 a door, $200 a door. So that was our business model. And then we were not data mining. We were mining the equity mining. We were mining the equity out of the properties to go and buy more properties. So that's what our business was built on. And then, unfortunately, my partners got really enamored by the different investment vehicles that were out there, and everyone was investing in, getting into these things where you were getting 10% a month on your return on your money. I invested $100,000, so I was making 10 grand a month for about a year. But then when that all burst and they found out that was like Bernie Madoff and he went to prison, I was telling my partners at the time, guys, this is not a sustainable model. We can't do this perpetually. We've got to have more legs, because the bubble's going to burst. These funds are going to go away, and we've got to be able to service our customers doing real, actionable, doable strategies. And they didn't have that mindset, so that's another story. But so to make a long story short, when all that happened, I took about a year off and I reassessed. So I knew that real estate worked. I knew that real estate investing was a real deal. It was a real vehicle. I'd been around it long enough to know that it was very lucrative. But I wanted to come back into it. I thought if I reapproach this, I want to be involved with something that is doable, something that is reliable, something that is replicatable, and more importantly, uh, something that I don't have to involve the banks or anyone else. It's very easy to access. It's not going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to turn a buck. And I found tax liens and deeds, and I've never looked back, because now when I tell people that are buying, even wholesalers, when I talk to wholesalers, they're buying properties. I talked to a guy the other day. He's like telling me, "Oh, I've got these 3 properties. I paid $50,000 for each of them. I own them outright." So he invested $150,000. He's making $800 a door on them renting. And I said, well, that's really good return. That's a really good business model. I said, so if I sold properties to you for $50,000, would you buy them? He said, yeah, I buy those all day as long as they're rentable and what I want. And I said, well, even if I told you that I'm getting those same properties for under $5,000, would you still buy them from me? And he said, he popped a fuse, and he's like, what? And I said, yeah. I said, you could buy those same properties in the same areas you could have 10 times the inventory and be getting $800 a door on all those doors. And he did the math. And he's like, how do I get in your business?
Yeah. So this is why I wanted to bring you guys, or wanted to bring Todd here. Some of the knowledge nuggets that we're bringing during this next, 40, 50 minutes this is like the tax lien foreclosable kind of structure. We're going to give you a high level overview of it so that you can possibly go ahead and use it for yourself in the future, understand the dynamic of this thing, because we're talking real estate here, guys, and you're all clever agents. Right now you're in a real estate agent position, but just like I've continually said, there's nothing wrong with you looking at things from a real estate investment standpoint,
right,
or how you go ahead and benefit your own personal portfolio to manifest more wealth, because that's what we're all about, right? So we trade our non-infinite life. All right. So the time that we spend trading our non-infinite life, we should be obtaining wealth in vehicles. So we are all in real estate in essence. And that's why I wanted to bring Todd in here. So Todd ends up telling this guy, so would you buy homes from me for 50 grand? But Todd has the inside line on how to go ahead and mill out properties that would be of that $50,000, $60,000 value or more. But he can go get up at these levels on the down and actually obtain these things.
So you touched on something I want to clarify, because I want people to understand the real power of this. Foreclosable tax liens. You can Google it. I can send you links and information on it. I want people to be educated before they ever engage me. They better be a little educated and know what at least have a level of competency before they even engage me, because I don't want to work with everybody. I want to work with people that really want to be successful and do this, and are gonna be successful. What was my point though? What was I going to tell you just before that? You would foreclosable tax liens, guys. Most people, when they get a lien, you don't own a lien. You own a deed, but you're just paying to get the return on investment, the interest rate on a lien. You can't normally foreclose on a lien. I found a way. When I built this mousetrap, I engineered it. I reverse engineered it from front to back to front. So it's like a domino. Once you start the process, it just happens. But I found a way to be able to control. It's all about controlling properties. When I was talking about creative real estate back in the day, you could do all these things and not own property, but you could control property. And by controlling, it's almost like the stock market. When you short a stock, you don't have to own the stock, but you can still sell the stock. You can still own the stock if you control the stock. Okay. And so I learned that with properties. And so liens, if you can get the lien and then foreclose on it and immediately turn it into a deed and then immediately take that deed and quiet the title and turn it into a warranty deed. That's the whole process. That's the magic. When people learn to do that, they pop a fuse and go, "Oh, I don't have to wait 2 or 3 years on a redemption of this deed. I can get that property right now." That is huge. That is a major, major, major breakthrough. I talked to a company in California that they are scarfing up all their land banking. They're scarfing up all sorts of property in Arizona, and I teach my students how to do this all still. So, but they're scarfing up properties and developments that went bankrupt in 2008 on the I-10 from like Phoenix, Arizona to California border, and it's all in the line of progression. These guys are scarfing up literally millions and tens of millions of dollars of property, but they're waiting the 3 years that Arizona requires before they can redeem it. I went to them and said, and they didn't even want to hear it because they thought I was crazy. I said, guys, what if I could show you a way that you don't have to sit on that property for 3 years before you capitalize on it? I could show you a way that you can foreclose on that lien right now, quiet the title, get rid of that 3-year redemption period, wipe that out, and sell those properties today while it's hot.
So this is kind of goes back to the core competency of what I talk to you guys about all the time. Is it's the angle of attack. It's trying to find the right way to communicate to prospective leads, to go ahead and organize the deal in such a fashion that it's actually a win-win on both sides. From Todd's side of the house, it's how do we go ahead and expedite the process? Don't have to wait for the redemption period so that you can maximize profitability, control real estate, and then turn around and sell it.
Absolutely. So it's all about the profit. We don't do this for our own edification. If you want to just go have fun, go to a freaking movie. But if you know what I mean, go to a night out with your wife or what significant other and go grab some pizza. That's not what we're in it for. We're in it to make money. And I talked to a lady the other day, bless her heart. I was at the bank and she asked me what I did and she got interested, and she moonlights in real estate, and she started asking me questions, and she was from Colombia, and so she had an accent, and she said, I started telling her what I do, and she says, "Oh, I couldn't do that business." I said, "What? Why?" And she says, "Because you're taking advantage of people. You're forcing them out of their homes." And I said, "Wait, no, you got it all wrong. These are people that have been squatting in that property and not paying their property taxes for years and years and years before it ever became a problem. And the first thing I do when I control the property is I go in and say, look, I'm the bank. I own that property now, but let's get you back on your feet. Let's get you back in the no. Let's get you at least just paying, what you would pay rent on a home, and you don't even have to pay market value. I'll let you pay whatever you can pay, and pay way below what if you go out and rent someplace. These people don't want to do that. It's almost like people that panhandle out on the street. They don't want a handout. They don't want you to give them a leg up or feed them. They just want money so they can go support their habit.
Yeah,
and
well,
their habit is they're squatting in a house that they've been skirting the laws for years. And so when I take over, if I can't help them, then yeah, eventually I've got to get them out of the picture and get people in there that are gonna, pay those rents.
So let's talk about this. The other day when I was on with a couple folks, and I said that I've got my good friend Todd coming, and Todd has like a $30,000 retainer, right? Like a one-time thing to go ahead and hire him.
Yes, not a retainer. They guys, I don't upsell. I keep adding. I have people that have been with me for 8 years. I had a guy that just put out an unsolicited. I got to go find it. I don't even know where he posted it. I saw this post that came over my phone, and this guy that I've known, he's been a student of mine, but clear back when I was with you as Tax Lien Association, I was the top mentor or coach for that company. They're like my top competitor out of Sacramento, California. They do Tony and Sean Tony Martinez and Sean Higgins, they do seminars. Again, I'm not in that business, but they have roadies and they do seminars and all that kind of stuff. And I just lost my train of thought. What was I going to tell you?
Yeah, you don't do retainers, so that's like
because all they do is they teach people. Oh yeah, come to our free seminar, and then you go to the free seminar, and then they go, oh, it's only $3,000 to get involved with this, and you pay $3,000 to $5,000 to get your foot in the door with them. And then all they do is upsell you. Oh, you need a coach. Oh, you need to do a master class. People can spend literally mortgage their house to spend $100,000 with them, to sit in a room with them face to face and every month and go, I don't know, what are you doing? I don't know, what are you doing? I don't know, what are you doing? But they're paying for the privilege to sit with Tony and Sean face to face, but they're getting no value, no return. I had a student at the time that he knew that I was providing value, and he said, Todd, I will pay you to come out and sit with me for 3 days and teach me this, and I'll pay you $15,000 for 3 days of your time. And I said, that's not going to work because I work for Tony and Sean. I can't just do that. You're going to have to go through them. So he went through Tony and asked, and Tony had just sent out his uncle that goes around. That was his job, to go around and spend like 3 days helping them put on the links, get their computer going, cover the basics. And I was far, far, far way light years ahead of that. And he could see that. And he said, I'll pay you to come out. Well, that pissed Tony off, Tony and Sean. That got their dander up, because all of a sudden one of their coaches was getting more shine or more credibility than they were, or their top guy that was going out. And so he said,
those guys are your competitors now.
Yeah, and so he said at the time, it was so funny because he said he tried to get rid of him. So he says, well, I'll let him go out there for 3 days if you pay $20,000 to us and to them. And I was fine with that because I was contracted. I was working with them at the time. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll go out for 3 days of my time. And he said, done. I'll pay the $20,000. And then of course that's when Tony and them said, holy shit, what's going on? This guy's too big for his britches. And that pissed him off that this guy would pay $20,000 for 3 days of my time. What I do now, it's a $20,000 or $30,000 engagement fee, and I can split hairs. There's different why. Basically, the biggest difference is there's a lot more value, but the biggest difference is they get me for life. Like I said, I had this guy going back to it. He posted, I've been with Todd for over 8 years. He's the real deal. He's legit. He understands the business inside and out, and he can really help you succeed at this. And he posted out there unsolicited. I just saw that. That's the kind of reputation, not reputation. That's the kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Relations that I build. I want relationships that are long lasting, like you and I, friendships that have value, that are long lasting, that people, the reason they hung around me is because I contribute to their life, not just on a personal basis, but we go out.
Let me jump in.
Yeah.
So, guys, I wanted to bring Todd over here to go ahead and introduce him to you guys, right? Because he's got a lot of special, or he's got a lot of time in the industry and everything else. And the reason I'm talking about this $30,000 mark, this one time, think about this model. Todd is literally putting his students onto properties, and they're controlling them, foreclosing on them, and obtaining these things for price points of $5,000 to $10,000 that are valued at $50,000 to $100,000 or more, right? And it all just depends on the actual deal, but it's all about the control of that property. So when we talk about this $30,000 coaching fee for Todd, his students are enamored because literally they're turning around, taking actionable steps. Now they're in on properties and they're turning them out. And then the profitability is just continuing to come. And the cool thing is that once you know the process, all of a sudden it's just more and more and more. And I love that about Todd. And we're not trying to go ahead and pitch Todd stuff. I'm just trying to help you guys understand what business Todd is in as a coach and everything else. But very powerful. And Todd, I think it's, for me, in all the years that I've actually done business in different industries, I'm glad that you go ahead and set that level because it keeps the tire kickers out,
Right.
People actually find interest in who you are,
Right.
value your education. That's a lot of times a substantial investment to go ahead and have a real estate coach. But I personally know that your clients are pleased and happy because you know what? I've been associated with you for a long time, and I've done some bird dogging for properties and stuff years ago.
Oh yeah, I remember. I remember. No, I remember the day I had like 300 people in a room, and I was teaching my creative acquisitions, and it was packed. Everyone wanted to be in that class, and I was teaching, every way you could make money in real estate, about a mile wide and an inch deep. But I covered every freaking subject out there and I won't cover it unless I've done it. So I'm talking about all these different ways you can do these things, and people are just, clamoring to be in that room. And we were working on a deal at the time that I was looking to acquire some land down there and the contracts. And I remember I'm at the front of the room, and like the door busts open, and Sergeant Wolfe comes busting in, and he's got this contract in hand, a big smile on his face, and he's striding to the podium, and everyone's like, "What the?"
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle of the seminar, and people are like, "What the hell is going on?" And everyone's focused on Sergeant Wolfe just marching down there and to the podium, and hands me and I'm just talking about how to control property and do deals and blah blah blah. And all of a sudden, timing.
I'm like, charge hard, right? Todd, we ain't got time for this shit. You got to put some.
He just came in, and we did the deal right in front of the students, and I was like, that's the way you get stuff done. That's why I resonate with you, is because you were on that podcast the other day, Get Shit Done and everything. And I was like, that's my model. That's your model. That's how you roll. You're such a hard charger that people can call you up at 11 o'clock at night, and you're still in your office looking just like you do now. You've got a smile on your face and you're fresh and ready to go. And people will say, "Oh, sorry for bothering you." And you're like, "No, what you got? Let's go. Let's hit it. Hit it hard." And that's why the kind of people that you talk to and that you reach have your mindset. They have your moral compass. I love that you wear your heart on your sleeve. You're very transparent. You're honest. These are all core values of yours. You're very much a spiritual driven man. That's why I resonate so strongly with you, because you're a hard charger. You're a leader, but you endear that people that know you, that's why they flock to you. That's why they get to know you. Other than you have a very kick-ass, KlevrLeads system, of course, but that's just your leadership and your core, the person you are. That's what people buy. And that's why, even with me, people that come to me, they don't necessarily know all the goodies that I'm going to teach them and show them that's going to enhance their life. I can go on and on and on, but they buy me because they see this guy's legit. He knows what he's talking about. He's not just spewing crap. And he's got social proof over and over and over and over again that shows that his students are in the 98th percentile, or I guess you could say the 2 percentile. I guess if you flip it, they're the small group that actually gets shit done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they know the ins and outs of the business. And just like that's what the people that you reach. This is an assumption, so forgive me, but I would think that a lot of people you reach, they're not only the hard chargers and leaders in their field from a real estate professional, licensed broker or agent, but my opinion is most people that are successful in that realm, they're also successful in real estate because it's two sides of the same coin. I don't have a license. I respect people that've gone out and got their license. I've never done that. I've never breached that. I'm more of a free spirit, and that kind of, in my opinion, for me, hems me in. But I also know that it opens more doors and gives you more visibility and gives you more tools at your disposal that I've had to learn and go around the system, so to speak, the real estate system, as far as from a mortgage type of, you get a mortgage, get a property, go through all the paperwork and the hoops. But these guys that do this, not only are they the best at what they do, they probably are moonlighting. They're probably investors at the core that are
They should
moonlighting
be.
as really good brokers. Does that make sense?
They should be. I mean, I personally know some real estate brokers that intentionally do. So the real estate agents, when they come in, by law, they're supposed to hang their real estate license at a brokerage. All these brokerages are clamoring to go ahead and get their real estate agent numbers up. And, it personally kind of upsets me some of the times. I see a lot of real estate agents transitioning from one brokership to another brokership and things like that. There's a lot of lack of leadership when it comes to a broker level. So real estate agents have to, and it's just a human thing, right? They had to be a real estate agent for a certain amount of years and have to have a certain amount of education to go ahead and then go through and obtain the broker's license. And now they're in business for themselves. And then they're asking other real estate agents to come over and they're trying to incentivize them and things like that. And, but you're right. I do know a lot of these brokers that put their real estate agents out to work. Those are the foot soldiers, right? Everywhere. And then at night they're sitting there going, I'm cherry picking. Let me go ahead and take this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Smart ones are doing that, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
Absolutely.
I got to tell you real quick something funny. So I had a lot of students when I transitioned over and I started doing my own thing. They followed me from USTLA after about a year or so. So there's no conflict of interest or anything, but they looked me up and said, "Hey, what are you doing now?" And I had this guy I talked to over in Rito, over in Switzerland, and so I've trained students all over the world. I've been to Europe, I've been to the UK, I've been to Australia. I have a group up in Toronto. So I was going strong with all these different people, and Rito, he was a phenomenal student of mine, one of my best students from my prior employment, my competitors. I guess those that shall not be named, but anyway, he was at the time. He had invested. I started talking to him. I said, "Hey, why don't you come over and I'll show you some cool tricks that'll accelerate your business and accelerate your investing." And he says, "Oh, Todd, you were the best student. I mean, you were the best mentor at the time. I know my stuff." He said, I right now I've got like 30 people in a group that invest in me. They give me their money and I go out and find all these properties and all these investments, and then I give them a return on their money. We do this as a group, and I've got like these 30 people. I've got 25, 30 properties that I've acquired since you were my teacher. I went from ground zero to hero, and now I've got all these people clamoring to be in this group of mine, and I lead it. He said, why would I need any more education from you? I mean, what can you do to enhance what you've already given me, all this information and training and over the years? He said, I am at the top of my game. And so I just asked him, I said, Rito, how many properties did you say you have? And he says, 30. And I said, and of those properties that you attained through tax liens, right? Tax deeds? And he said, yep, everything you taught me, Todd. And I said, and how many of those properties are you profitable on? And there was dead silence. And he said, where do I send the 30K? Yeah. And so now that he got back with me, he's gone on a tear, he's gone on a run. And so not only is he feeding himself, but he's supporting a group of about 30 people that are feeding into his knowledge and capabilities to do what he does. So this is real, this is doable, it's attainable. I tell people, you get it, I do it for the fun now. I do it so I love to do what I do. I get up and it's like a treasure hunt every day, because I got into it. I was with a student. I had a student that was going out and bird dogging for me, kind of like what you were doing, because I do everything from home. I do it from
nobody's as good as me.
What's that?
Nobody's as good as me on bird dogging.
No, nobody's as good as no. That's no. We're not comparing apples to apples there. But I was working with a student out of Ohio, Josh, and he found some properties. We were going to go to an auction up in Lake County, Illinois, up by the Great Lakes. And so he was going to travel to it and go to it. You had to be there in person. And so we looked at a list of properties. We teed up about 10, 15 properties. We went through and we vetted them. We evaluated them. We did everything we could to make sure that these were going to be good investments. Well, one of the properties that we found was a commercial property. It was a hospital, and this hospital had been shut down, but it had not been shut down because it was a brand new facility. It was brand spanking new. It was over a $6 million hospital price tag on this thing. But what happened is that they owned like 10 of these hospitals. The corporation that owned like 10 of them up and down the entire eastern seaboard, from Florida to Massachusetts and everywhere in between. And they had lost this specific one in Lake County, Illinois, had lost its licensure because these hospitals were like mental facilities. They had high license by the state. They had to retain their license to be able to function.
That thing is probably haunted.
Well, no, it wasn't one of those places. It wasn't an old facility. That's the thing. It wasn't an old facility. It's brand spanking new. But the reason they lost their licensure is because they hadn't kept up on the stuff in the state. Yeah. So, long story short, this was on the tax rolls for $16,000. So we picked up the deed, not the lien, the deed for $16,000 on a property that's worth $6 million. Well, when we went back, we were able to sell it for half the price. So, do the math. But guess who our main buyer was?
Who's that?
The people that lost it. We went right back and sold it back to them. And they were like, "Holy crap! We didn't even know this fell through the cracks." Their accountants were like totally bamboozled, flustered. They had no idea how they had lost.
That's the nice thing that I like about you, because I know you always preach integrity with all of your students, right? So it's not like this cat and mouse, cat got your tail kind of a situation. There's legitimate tax liens that can be foreclosed on. But then I love the fact that Todd actually tells all of his students, and I actually heard it right out of his mouth, and I know that he practiced what he preaches. In those moments, he's like, "Hey guys, this just happened." You know what I mean? And we're not trying to take advantage of everybody. I know you're running a legitimate business and that kind of stuff. Right. What can you do for our time? And so it almost becomes a win-win, because can you imagine if somebody other than Todd and company picked that shit up, then they would be ruthless.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. It wasn't, and that's the thing. I look to do a win-win-win. Whenever I work with people, it's just like you and I. If we're going to do a deal together, not only do I want it to benefit myself, not only do I want it to benefit you, but I want it to benefit the other, because there's always a third party involved. There's someone else involved on the other side of the transaction. Yeah. Whether you're buying or selling. I mean, every realtor knows that. So I'm not out just to get the money or the first deal. I want to create a win-win-win situation, a triple win, a win-win-win. Because when you do that, everybody goes, "Man, that was really cool. That was really fun. Not only did I enjoy that experience, but I made a lot of money doing that. I want to do it again." And that's how you get repeat customers, is when you create the win-win-win scenarios. And that's what you do all the time by default. So
yeah, let's actually get into the weeds here real quick. I've got a couple of things I wanted to ask you. So COVID hit, and I actually haven't asked you this before, but I've been so busy. I was curious to go ahead and inquire. What are you seeing with your students right now? I'm personally thinking that because of COVID, there's a lot of lapse getting ready to happen out inside of the marketplace, right? So
I just read an article today. I can post this later or whatever. You can post this. I came across an article today about tax liens, and they said, they said it already. What I know is happening. The wave is coming, guys. The wave is coming. I'm telling you right now, when stuff like this hits, they say it all the time, more millionaires and billionaires are made during this type of time. It's not a cliche, guys. Money is transferring hands, property is transferring hands faster than you can spit. But the other thing is a lot of people, unfortunately, are going to be losing their property, not only because they can't pay their mortgages, but they're falling behind on their taxes. And so a lot of what am I saying? A lot of properties now. I read this article that these they're being overwhelmed by the amount of properties that are coming onto their lists because of this situation, and we're just barely scratching the tip of the iceberg. The wave is coming. I was just seeing where Ron Paul came out and said, "Come to my website because all the indicators point to we're going to have a major crash." Blah blah blah. I'm not a doomsayer. I don't go out and preach that stuff, but I certainly prepare for it. I prepare for the worst, and I hope for the best and prepare for the worst. That's just my makeup. But so I'm a mother hen in that respect, way. I'm always looking out for myself and for the well-being of others, like my students. If my students were to come on, if you were to come on today and be my student, Jakey, I would absolutely take you under my wing, be your silent partner. You would get all the deal, you'd get all the money. You're not going to split anything with me, but I'm going to help you navigate and take you by the hand. And that's the difference. I just don't teach nuts and bolts. I don't just teach, how to do it. I'm going to take you by the hand, and because of my experience and understanding, we're going to go out and do it. We're going to go out and put it together, find these deals, walk the deal, tie it up, make it happen.
That's how a lot of the new clever agents, right? I've gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of the new clever agents, and I'm that same kind of guy where, I'll take personal time away from business and everything else that I'm doing over here and sit down one-on-one with every single one of the new clever agents, and we'll pull in an audience. We'll go ahead and build out communication. We'll deploy communication. They have me in their corner so they can go ahead and say, "Hey, Jake, what do I do now? Oh my God, what are they saying? What do you think?"
Right. So, and the reason I could take someone that's a rank amateur that just said, "Hey, I heard about tax liens and deeds. That sounds like a really cool thing to get into." Or I can take someone like Rito, who's been around the block many, many times and knows this ins and outs and how to do it. He could teach the subject. I don't care where you're at in the process. There's always room to grow. There's there's always inventory or deals to grow and capitalize on. And so what I do, I take you and we would meet, and instead the way my program works, instead of giving you 10 sessions, like an hour or so a week for 10 weeks of theory, I actually take you by the hand and assess where you're at right now, where your knowledge level is, what you've been doing, and then I know where we need to tweak it to make you more successful immediately. And then what I do is I take you by the hand and we actually just do it. So I kind of like, no matter where you're at in the process, I take you and put you in your, I get you suited up, I get you a life jacket on, get your floaties on, whatever you're comfortable with, put you in a shark cage, surrounded in the middle, and then I drag you out and throw you in the deep end with the sharks, and we go to town. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And hey, don't threaten me with a good time, Todd. I like swimming with you. I want to see what a wolf does in the water.
Exactly. And so what I do is
well, here, let me ask you something. I actually want to scare the shit out of some of the people here that are our American audience for a second. There are international people that have the ability to go ahead and generate and start a limited liability corporation in the United States of America.
Right.
And then they actually go ahead and hire somebody like Todd. Todd can go ahead and take somebody from Australia, Japan, China, Mexico, Canada, and unbeknownst to everybody else that's going on in the United States, and this is kind of where I wanted to expand some of the awareness here, was like, literally, we have people that are not American citizens taking advantage of our American system. So what happens?
Anybody in the world can buy a tax lien or a deed.
In the United States.
They don't have to be in the United States. Anybody can do it. And they don't have to have an LLC. The only thing I do is if they really want to monetize this and make a business, then I help them jump the hoops to legal, get them an ST. And the other thing I do, we haven't even touched on, there's so many things that I could tell you about and go on and on and on. I help my students create what's called a QRP, a Qualified Retirement Plan. If you go with USTLA, they're going to charge you another $5,000 just for that information. But that's part of my add-on is we just do it. I'm going to teach you how to set up a QRP, which is basically documentation for the IRS if they ever come knocking on your door that you just put away and you just file away in your filing cabinet. But what it allows you to do is you become your own self-directed IRA. You're the executor of it. So you don't have to ever ask people for access to your money. It's your money. It's in your bank account, and you can access it at any time, just like you can your bank account. You can. But the great thing is there are rules. I think you can only invest like 50 or 60,000 annually of your money into it to grow it, which isn't a lot necessarily, but for every deal you do, like that deal I did on the hospital, I invested $16K. I took that, you can take that out of the QRP, but then whatever gains you get from that, you can stick it back in the QRP tax deferred until you're 71 and a half. So for anybody doing this, they can protect their nest egg and their deals tax deferred. You'll be in a whole different bracket, when you're 71. But right now, go to town and start building those millions and just acquiring it and doing that tax deferred and rolling that over and over and over. I teach people how to do that. I have wealth strategies far beyond what we're talking about. And tax liens and deeds is just the entry point. I had a student that came on back with me, Kathy Lou from Florida. She was a realtor that she was the breadwinner in her family. She's Asian. She's the breadwinner of her family because her parents lived with her, mom and dad. Her husband her boyfriend, significant other, had bailed on her, leaving her with a 2 or 4 month old baby. And she was the realtor, the breadwinner for that family. She came to me and said, Todd, I've heard the grapevine, what you do. I'm very sure that I can make this work. But if I pay you the price of entry, I don't have any money left. And I said, that's okay.
Guys, I know this story because actually I was talking to Todd back when this happened. And listen to the rest of this story. It's going to blow your mind. I'm serious.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So she came on, said, I've heard that I trust you because, and that's how things happen is people come to me organically because they've seen someone else doing it and they pop a fuse and go, how the freak are you doing this? And they say, well, I got a guy. And then they call me up and it kind of goes organically. But she came to me from somewhere that she saw people having success and said, well, if I pay you this price of admission, that's all the money in the world. And I said, well, that's okay, because once you're in the alliance, I've been networking for 20 plus years, and I've got people that they have lots of money, but they don't want to do this. They don't want to do any hard lifting or heavy lifting, or it's easy stuff. They don't want to do the work. They just have money they want to invest. So they'll lend it, or they'll partner with somebody as a money partner to go out and do these deals. So if someone that's really wants to do that, that's how you accelerate your earnings, by working with money people. But so she said, okay, I'm in. She came on and she immediately found a property in Florida. And again, it was Lake County. For someone who's always been around lakes, but Lake County, Florida, I believe.
That's right by Orlando.
Yeah. And she was in Orlando, but it was a different county. And she found a property. She was able to buy the deed for $18,500 using somebody else's money. I got her with one of my students that gave her the money, lent her the money to do it. She bought the deed. She turned around and it was a perfect, pristine condition. She got another realtor involved in Lake County to actually put it back on the market and sell it. So within 4 months, she came on as a new student with no knowledge. I didn't teach her. She went and immediately got this property under contract, or I'm not under contract. She bought the deed, owned the property. We cleared the title. We remarketed it. In 4 months, she sold that for over $165,000. And by the time she paid back the realtor that sold it, the commission, and the money, interest on the money that she got, I think it was like 10% simple interest, but she paid back, the loan in 4 months. She pocketed over $135,000 on a deal that she had no money in.
So now let me finish the story because I know this. So then she goes on to continuing to do additional deals over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
And then she amassed $1 million+ worth of wealth, literally turned around and came back to Todd and said, Todd, I've got all of this money. What do I do with it? And she started to become a private investor. So
Right.
other new students that were actually coming in,
she's the money person now.
She knew that she ended up getting her start by somebody else helping her.
Right.
She understands the process. So she exclusively comes to Todd and says, hey, Todd, I've got this.
Right.
So if you have some other students that need that kind of help and that benefit, but that's the kind of cool culture that Todd has built over the years over there. And I love that.
Well, it's funny that so the end of the story was, so she called me back after, and again, I have a lifetime, contract with these people. So I hadn't heard from her for 2 years, and she called me back and she said, Todd, I have a problem. She didn't say, Todd, this is Kathy. She said, Todd, I have a problem. I knew exactly who it was immediately. I said, Kathy, how you doing? I said, what do you mean you have a problem? How can you have a problem? You're like a poster child for this. And she said, well, the problem is I'm $1 million liquid in my account now, and I don't know what to do. And I was like, that's a good problem to have. I can handle that kind of a problem. So I like it when I create those kind of problems for students, Yeah. And so yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now, the other thing that people, when they come on with me, I don't like competition. I don't like going to auctions. I abhor going to auctions, whether they're online or in person, because all those they hype you up. I'll tell you about it. I had an incident in Florida. I just went on to an auction that was in Florida, and they were selling condos down on the beach, and they were getting them. This went up and up and up. It started for around $50,000 for $100,000, $110,000 condo, which in itself would be a pretty good deal. But then, of course, because there's an auction, it went to 60 and 65 and 70 and 75, and finally it topped out about like $100,000. And I'm like, guys, that's not an investment. That's a purchase. That's a retail purchase. You might as well have gone through an agent and bought that for retail and paid a commission on it, because you did not invest in that property. You just bought a property. And I teach my students how to acquire those same types of properties in the same area, doing a stealth mode where there's no competition. They can go right to the county and just say, hey, I want to buy this from you over the counter. And they may say, well, you have to be here in person. That's the only obstacle, because they want to make sure the people are local. Well, that's how they do it. They want you to make sure you're really serious, and that's how they limit it. They say you got to be here in person to buy it. So anyway, I teach stealth mode. Well, I had a student that was clamoring. He was telling me, Todd, I've been doing this for a few months. I'm a little upset because I haven't found a deal of a lifetime yet. And I said, well, okay, tell me what you need. And he says, well, I need a property post haste. And I said, well, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? And no. So I said, well, let's have you do these things. Go back to this area, ask these questions. Long story short, he was complaining on a Friday that he didn't have a deal. Monday morning, he calls me up, and he's like sunshine and giggles. And he's like, oh, I bought myself a property. And I said, what? I said, Friday, you were telling me you didn't have a property. He says, well, you gave me some ideas, and I went out and did it, and immediately landed one in Florida again. And he lived like in Texas or Arizona, and he literally got on a flight because they said, well, you got to be here to buy it. He checked it out online. He did all the vetting and evaluation and decided. So he got on a plane, flew to the county, went by and drove by it and looked at it, just put eyes on it before he drove to the office, the county office, walked in and stroked a check for it. I think he paid, I want to say about 10 grand or less, maybe 8 grand for a property that he immediately could profit over $60,000 on. And he got it in a weekend. And it was like, what a difference a conversation made. You know what I mean?
Well, what I like about your program, and guys, I know a lot about it because I know when Todd was transitioning and coming through in Tax Lien Alliance, and I've seen him publicly speak, and I know who he is and stuff like that. What I like is that you help your students go through and identify all the pitfalls and legalese inside of a lot of different states. You know what I mean? So it's.
I'm not a lawyer. I mean, that's the one thing I tell people, because I'm not ever going to get in trouble with the SEC or anything. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know law, but I've been doing this so long that I know it's all about building a power team. And you guys, your people will resonate with this. You surround yourself with people who know their shit, and what you do is, and you trust, and you understand that they're on the straight and narrow, doing it the right way too. Everyone's got, keep your nose clean. I'm that mother hen, but because I don't know legalese, but I know who to go to solve the problem, and that's what it's all about. Is, you know what I mean? You've got to be able to identify realtors, maybe lawyers, people at the county. There's always going to be people at the county that you talk to. All these people that you need to identify, we quickly do a checklist and make sure that we're engaging all those people, and we're engaging them the correct way so that we can get results. It's all results. It's all results driven. It's all about, we're in this again to get results and get them quickly. We don't mess around. And that's what I like about your approach. The same attitude. You're not here to just instruct people or tell people something that they could be doing. No, we're gonna get right to the business.
Well, you know me personally. I mean, I went ahead and totally wedding crashed your own seminar to go ahead and give you a deal when you were talking to folks. So,
right,
yeah,
right. And Jake, that's what I love about you. And here's the other thing, guys. I just saw that I'm getting my floaties on my checkbook and going to start my search for tax liens with Todd and Jake. That's phenomenal. But again, I want people to have a level of competency before they ever engage me, and a level of trust before they ever engage me. One of the things, if they go to my website, taxlienalliance.com, I have a webinar on there, and they can go register for the webinar. It's about an hour. It's basically me just droning on and on and on. And so it's kind of dry from my perspective, but people love it because they eat it for breakfast, because they could see that it's meat, more meat and more meat. And I'm not cutting any corners. I'm laying it all out there. There's websites on there and tools on there and ideas on there that they can implement immediately. And a lot of people go, well, gosh, I watched that. I can go do it now. I can go become a multimillionaire. Not so fast. The devil's in the details. You got it. It's just like, Afghanistan, or if you're in Afghanistan or Iraq, are you going to follow the guy that's got one eye and one leg that as your Sherpa that's going to go help you navigate the minefield? You know what I mean? No, you're not going to go get a guy named Lucky that's hobbling along because he's going to help you avoid the minefields. I don't think so.
Did you just call him Lucky?
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I do.
And that's not the way you do it. You follow somebody who's been down that path over and over and over, and every time there's a roadblock, not only does he have the answer, but it's a real solution. He's going to, again, that silent partner that takes you by the hand. I've had students that will call up a county, and I'll say, well, call up a county and do these things and then get back to me in a few days. Well, they'll be like a week or two, and I haven't heard from them. Finally, when they call me up, they're like, Todd, I've been beating my head against the wall. I've done exactly what you told me to do, but it's not working. I said, wait, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, I've done this. And I said, no, wait, give me the number. Who we calling? And I'll take, just like you, I'll take charge, and I'll go be the lead. I'll act like I'm an investor. I'll go make the call for them, and I'll just say, look, will you just be a fly on the wall and listen? And they're like, okay. So then I'll go and in one call, I'll break through and do exactly what I instructed them to do 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, you should have called me sooner. We could have handled this in a day. But it's all about communication, right? But for some reason, he let it go 2 weeks before he came back to me with this tail between his legs saying, I can't do this. Then when I did it and broke through, he came back on the call afterwards and he was like all sunshine again. But he's like, you know what? I was saying what you asked me to say, but I sure wasn't saying it the way you said it. You know what I mean? And it's all in the way you approach it. I mean, people are going to take you at your face value when you're asking for stuff to get done, because you do it, you're in charge, you're in control, you know what you need, you know what you want, you have an objective. And when you approach it that way, people answer. They answer the call. I had a lady that she called me crying. She was literally a student of mine. She's crying. She goes, Todd, I can't do this. This is all what you're selling is a bunch of BS. It's wrong. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, well, I went to Florida and I told them I wanted to buy some liens and get 18%. And the lady right on there said, what are you talking about? You're crazy. We'd never pay you 18% on a lien. And this is from the county. And I said, oh, wait, hold the phone. Give me the number. Got the same lady on there. And I said, same thing. And she said, oh, sir, we don't have liens. There's no way we would pay 18% on a lien. And I said, excuse me? I said, do you have access to the internet? She said, yeah. I said, could you go to your website? Yeah. Your county website? Yeah. Could you go to liens? Yeah. And right there in black and white, it says 18% return on liens. And there was dead silence on it. This is a lady that works at the county and answers phones, and she's dead silent. And she's like, I had no idea we did that. So, you know what I mean? So I'm like, anyway, you got to take charge.
Cool. Yeah. So
part of the equation here.
Let me, so guys, obviously I could let us live go for another 3 hours. Seriously.
Maybe 4.
All right. Todd and I can go ahead and just drop knowledge bombs and experience and everything else like that. But, Todd, I saw you on, I think, CNBC. Some of your company actually was just hit up on like Fox and some other like Los Angeles Times, and you've got a lot of publicity and stuff coming toward.
There's a lot of press releases out there. But one thing I will caution you on, if you're looking for them, you won't see. That's one thing I was upset about. The guy that was doing this, you won't see Todd Ashton, or more importantly, Tax Lien Alliance, which is my company, my brand. But you have to kind of dig for them. But if you find them, then you'll find these on page 3 or 4 or 5 of Google.
Well, anyways, what I'm saying is congratulations. I know you're starting to get out there and actually get your company is relevant, getting media. And
I think that's a lot of attention.
Yeah. But anyways, I've had taxlienalliance.com up here on the page. So if anybody ever wants to go ahead and talk to Todd and say hello, inquire about him, treat him nice. He's a friend of Sergeant Wolfe's. So.
Let me put this out there. I'm not big on email, so people can get me at toddashton@gmail.com. My name, toddashton@gmail, or just todd@taxlienalliance.com. Yeah. But that's not my first line of communication. Usually if people just call or text me, I'm very accessible. I'm a widower. My wife passed away from breast cancer, bless her heart, going 2 years this December. And so it's just me and my cat in this big home rambling around, I just chase my deals. So if someone wants to contact me, call me you put that up on your screen, call me at 801-358-1496. That's my direct line, 801-358-1496, or Todd Ashton @gmail, or Todd@Tax Lien Alliance. But again, if you're serious, guys, I'm not pushy. If you don't do this, I'm not going to chase you. I don't care. I mean, I care. I don't mean to say I don't care, but if you're invested in your personal success, then I care about you and getting you there. But I'm not going to push you to go over that line or across that line. So if you were to contact me and say, hey, what's this all about? I kind of got excited. I want to learn more. I'm going to probably push you in the directions of going out and getting you some information, getting you some knowledge base, because I don't want you to just take my word for it or your word for it. I'm like Ronald Reagan with the Russians, trust but verify. I want you to trust, But everything we're saying, I want you to verify it. I want you to go out and do some due diligence and do some proof of concept. So when we engage, you have a level of trust, of knowledge and of competency so that you can be successful. There's 4 things that I require that my students have before they ever engage me. One, they have to have passion and desire. That other than that, they might as well be a Walmart worker or whatever. Go chase whatever lights you up. But if you're not passionate about this, let's not engage, because you're not going to be successful. Number 2 is time. You got to be able to invest 1 to 2 hours a day, 3 to 5 days a week. So 10 hours a week. If you can't do 8 to 10 hours a week, scratch the surface, you might as well go do something else that you enjoy and love, because you're not going to, if you don't put time into it, this is the get rich quick scheme. You got to jump through the hoops and put the pieces together and make it happen. So passion and time is a necessity. Third, you need to be malleable. You need to be teachable. I don't care how long you've been in the business, but if you're going to trust me to do this, then follow me and let's do it. And when I tell you to pull the trigger, it's because we've teed it up, we've vetted it, we've evaluated it, we've 3 ways to Sunday. We know it's a good deal, and so you've got to be able to pull that trigger. And then the 4th, if you don't have the money to engage me, that's okay. When I say it's not about the money, of course you have to have that $30,000 or $20,000 to engage me. But that right now, Lending Tree and lenders are a dime a dozen. If you have a 650 credit score and can fog a mirror, you can go out and get a personal loan to do this, and it'll only cost you $400 or $500 a month while we're doing deals, not just training you, but while we're doing deals, so that you can get that paid back and get square and get flush and start making money. You can do that for as little as $400 or $500 investment yourself. Or if worse comes to worse, I've had students that had not a penny to their name, they had no money. They had desire out the wazoo, but I said, well, can you go get a loan? No, I don't have a 650 credit score. Okay, but do you know people that are interested to do this? Oh yeah, I know people. Do you know people that have money that would be interested to do this? I think so. Well, when they got those buddy people on the phone with me and we talked this through, they're like, where do I send a check? I'll teach 2 people for the price of 1 to go do this, and then that person that lined up with that money person, they can do that on the back end. They do their deal, they make their money. Usually on the first deal that they can get square and get flush, that money person will take their $10,000-$15,000 out of the front end equation that they paid for, and then they can go do deals together, or they can do them separately. They both have access as a partnership or separately to my network. So everything's copacetic once they're in the door. So it doesn't matter if people have the money up front. I'll find ways to help you get there if you're serious. But number 1, have passion, desire to do it.
Yeah, so guys, once again, I just wanted to introduce you to an old friend. And I know his heart. I know he's the real deal. I mean, he's worked with, just like you guys see inside of his little bio that I went in and posted up. He's worked with some of the big boys. So, but I wanted to bring Todd in here today to go ahead and talk about, this tax lien side, maybe what's coming up with the marketplace. I wanted him to explain some of his history.
Guys, the wave is coming.
Yeah. So, anyways, if you need more information with Todd or want to go ahead and have a conversation with him, I know he's very approachable, and I wanted to bring this perspective to you. Todd, real quick question before we go ahead and jump out. Next year, when this COVID shit goes ahead and gets itself settled out and everybody's got a handle on it, I want to put on an event here in Reno. I want to book out the large Atlantis. So I'd love to go ahead and bring you over. We're very realtor centric, right? So on this side, we're always about, approaching identifiable audiences, getting core competency deals for the real estate side of the house. But I really think it's valuable to go ahead and have somebody from a creative acquisitions type mindset. So some of these realtors, because I know I'm working with some folks that are brand new to real estate, some people that have some experience, some people who are professionals in the real estate game. But I mean, it's just value education to go and see that. Would you like to come out and join us?
Oh, I would be honored. Like I said, I'm so honored and privileged just to be here today talking with you. But that would just light me up. That would get me out. I don't care to travel that much anymore. I used to travel the world doing this stuff. Now I just do it from the privacy of my home because, well, one, I can, and I just enjoy being at home with my cat. And then, like I said, but yeah, I would come out in a heartbeat and support you and your group. I love that kind of stuff. You remember it. You knew Varish. I eat that stuff for breakfast.
Yeah.
My wife would get mad at me at the time. I remember we had a little bit. She was kind of miffed because she couldn't spend time with me while we were there on that 3-day event. We were like in Disneyland. She wanted me to go to Disneyland with the kids, and I was servicing the students, and I had like all these people that would follow me around when we go to lunch and everything. And she got mad at me. I remember saying, "Oh, everyone bows down to you and says, 'Allah Todd,' and they just follow you around." I said, "Honey, that's not what it's about. I'm putting it out there. I'm in service to these people. They feel that I'm legitimate and real and approachable. All what we talked about. I have those core values, but of course, family's first, and family is important. But I'm out here
Well,
to
that's
right
why
now.
that's why we do. That's why we do what we do. I mean, that's
Exactly.
why we work so hard professionally in order to go ahead and amass
Absolutely.
wealth for ourselves and all the people that depend on us.
I would love to support you. Thank you for the invitation. I look forward to that.
Yep, very good. Well, God bless you, my friend, and still say prayers for your bride. So
thank you so much. I appreciate you, Jakey. Thanks for your friendship. Thanks for your support, and thanks for your professionalism. I look forward to engaging your group of people as the time goes on.
very good, guys. As always, stay blessed and unstoppable. Cheers and charge hard, and you know how to get in touch with me if you need me. And
Love you, Jake. Thanks, buddy.
Since it's Friday, a little bit of safety briefing. Don't drink and drive. All right, till next time, guys. Cheers and charge hard.
Thanks, Jake.